All right, so let's take a minute and just talk about communication when it comes to precision rifle, but also a concept that applies in our everyday lives. So our communication needs to be accurate, and we need to be honest when we screw up, so that way when we're working as a team, when we're working with other people, this could be on a daily relationship, this could be in business, this could be on a team playing sports, whatever it is, right? If we don't give the people we're working with or the people that we have relationships with real information, then things get screwed up. And we see this a lot of times when doing precision rifle, especially when we get into longer distances where you start to work with a spotter who can now help walk you into the target and take in the information from the environmentals to try to help you get a first, if not a second round hit. So if we take this, most of you are familiar with this visual of here's the target, the circle, and this is our crosshair, the vertical and horizontal lines. In movies, right, you always see the crosshair right on where we want to aim. The reality of it is when we're doing windage calls and things like that, a lot of times we'll use the marks on the crosshair, right, the mil dots or the mil lines in the reticle to use measurement for things like wind. So for example, if we have a wind that's going from the left to the right, if I take a long shot, in the amount of time that it takes a round to get there, if the wind's blowing left to right, then my round is going to get pushed to the right. So what I either have to do is dial on the scope, or I can just aim into the wind using the measurement tools on the crosshair, on the reticle here, as the same concept of dialing, right? If I dial, then I keep the crosshair centered because I'm adjusting the same way I am here, but with the turrets. For the sake of the conversation, so you can see it visually, because you can't see it when we do the dialing, right? We're going to look at this from the standpoint of the crosshair. So let's say there's a left to right wind. And here I am, I'm your spotter, and I go, okay, based on what I'm seeing, right, at the distance we're at, the caliber you're shooting, and what I'm seeing the wind doing with the mirage and the leaves and the trees and all this kind of stuff, the information I'm taking in, I'm going to predict that we need to do a 1.5 left wind call. So 1.5 left, aiming to the left using the right side of the reticle because we're aiming into the wind. So this is the crosshair. I've now taken it to the left, 1.5. But let's say because you're kind of a new shooter, right, and doing wind calls is now a new thing to you, you confuse 1.5, which would be right here. Here's 1 mil, 0.5, to 2.5. Let's say you use the 0.5 mark right here, okay, by accident. What happens is when you take that shot, your rounds, you didn't aim enough. So the target is actually here when you're looking at it. That's what you used as your crosshair. So you actually saw this. You had your crosshair and you went to 0.5. Here's 1. 0.5. Right? So when this happens, where does your shot go? Your shot's going to miss 1 to the right because you didn't hold enough wind. Does that make sense? Because you only did this, your shot is going to go right over here, right? And your impact is going to come up short. So now we needed 1.5, you did only half, so your shot's going to hit right here. That's where you missed that. Okay? So when I see this, I go, report your shot. When I'm asking you to report your shot, I'm saying, what did you see? When you broke this shot, what did you see? You saw this, but I asked for this. Right? So when I see the impact hit here, still 1 to the right of the target from center, so we have half 1 from center. When I see your 1 right, I go, wow, what I saw in the environment based on the information that I have, I underpredicted this by an entire mil. This is crazy. Because when I ask you, what did you do? And you go, yeah, I was 1.5 right, or 1.5 left. It was a perfect shot. Yeah, you sure? Yeah, I was good. Okay, and in your head you go, man, there's people watching. I don't want people to know I screwed up. That was really dumb. I used the wrong, used the wrong line. I only did 0.5, not 1.5. Instead of just saying, hey, dude, I screwed up. I did 0.5, not 1.5. Well, I have to go off the information that you give me. What I'm seeing and what you're telling me, there could be other little environmentals that are happening that I'm not aware of, right? The bullets do crazy things, and the different environmental affects things in different locations, or it could be something that I'm not seeing. So when you tell me that, then naturally my reaction is, okay, well, man, I guess I screwed up. So what do? I overcompensate to try to get you on target for that second shot hit. So now what I do, because you still missed, I gave you 2.5 left and you still missed 1 mil to the right, now I increase that from a 1.5 left, right? I now give you a 2.5 left. So now I'm asking you to do this, but you do exactly what I say this time. And now you do 2.5 left, and this is what you see. But the wind is actually calling for a 1.5 left. So now your impact goes here. And when I ask you, what did you do? How was your shot reported? 2.5 left, center mass, perfect shot. We go, okay, well, shit. Now we're missing 1 mil to the left. Now I overcalled it. So now I have this range of here to here. So maybe I kind of meet in the middle and I go, man, one time I'm 1 to the left, the other time I'm 1 to the right. So maybe as a spotter, I'm like, are you sure that you're calling this shot accurately? And you're like, yeah. So now if I call, right, I'll split it 1 3/4. Okay, maybe I get that, but now if I call 1 3/4, again, if we needed 1.5, if I call, if I call 3/4, then we wind up catching the edge of the steel. Does that make sense? And now we got to start problem solving and narrowing it down. It's going to take more shots. It's going to take more time, right, for us to do what it is that we need to do. Where if you just said to me from the very beginning, I asked for 1.5 left, and this is what I wanted to see, but you accidentally did that. If you had called, nope, I did half left. And I go, okay, well, I called for 1.5 left. Yep, I screwed up. I broke it at half left. Well, where did it impact? It impacted here, 1 to the right of center. Okay, so it was a wood call. Do it again, 1.5 left. Do it right this time, 1.5 left. Repeat. And now you make that adjustment. You do 1.5 left, and we get a bullseye shot. This shot no longer goes here. Now this time, it goes right where we want it. This is important because when I was personal training, I would see this all the time. People would come into the gym, and as a new gym member, we'd have a series of health questions that we had to ask you. And we'd say, hey, how is your health? Do you have high blood pressure or high cholesterol? And they'd be like, no high blood pressure, no high cholesterol, right? I'm looking at the person, they're obviously out of shape, right? Maybe they're a little older. It looks like they have a sedentary lifestyle. And here they are in the gym trying to get healthy. And we get to the part of the questionnaire where it goes, okay, were you on any medication? Well, yeah, I'm on medication. Well, what are you on? I have medication for high blood pressure, medication for high cholesterol, right? And it's like, well, I thought you said that you were you were healthy, you didn't have any health issues. Well, no, I don't have high blood pressure because I'm taking my medication. And it's like, okay, well, if you still have to take the medication, then you haven't fixed the things in your life that would make it so you don't need to take the medication. So although your stats are reading that you don't have high blood pressure because you're on medication, you do have high blood pressure, and that's why you're taking medication, right? So there's a lot of things in our lives that we don't want to admit to, or we tell half-truths, or we just spin the truth, right, to put out a desired perception of what we believe our reality to be. But what this does is this slows down our time, and it slows down our effectiveness. If you are not giving me the proper information as your personal trainer, how am I supposed to get you in the right shape that you want to be in? I might be giving you the wrong routine because you're not giving me the full information. If we're trying to get accurate first or second shot hits, and you're not giving me the proper information as the spotter, how can I give you the proper information to engage and hit the target correctly? So if you take that same concept and we just looked at that and how we're communicating in different areas of our life, what you can see is there's many times where we're actually creating more chaos and turmoil and confusion within the relationships, within the partnerships or the team that we're a part of, because we're not being forthcoming in our information as we have it, right? Due to maybe being insecure about what people are going to think, or we're afraid of being wrong or whatever, but not realizing that this only makes the whole situation worse than it needs to be, because this could be a very quick boom correction and we're right back on track. Cool, no problem. I know exactly what's happened. I know exactly how to fix it. But when we try to skirt around and avoid, right, just being forthcoming and being like, yeah, dude, I screwed up. Okay, cool, you screwed up, let's fix it and carry on, right? We come up with stories and we drag this out. And for us to get this shot on target, because you're not giving us proper feedback, proper information on what you're seeing through your scope when you're breaking those shots, now all of a sudden this comes into a 10-round volley before we get you on target consistently, right? Because of just process of elimination, of narrowing it down time after time after time, and the spotters are sitting there going, this is what I'm looking at, right? But what I know should be happening, I'm not seeing happen on the other end, but I can only go off of what you're telling me. And a lot of times the spotter is just going to take over and make some drastic call, you know, or have you come off the rifle and someone else is going to shoot your rifle or whatever it is, you know. But my point is, regardless of how we remedy that, the fact of the matter is this gets carried out longer and more laborsome because we're not being correct in our communication. And the more concise our communication is, regardless of how it makes us feel or if we're embarrassed or whatever, the reality is the goal of the team, the goal of the relationship is to get positive results. The best way to get positive results is to have good, accurate communication. When we have good, accurate communication, we have trust in one another. When we have trust in one another, it speeds up the process, right, of our decision making, right? Because if I trust that you would give me an accurate reading off that shot, then I go, okay, well, there's something happening in this environment that I can't see, and I have to go off of what they're telling me. But if you keep changing what it is that you're reporting back to me, then I don't know if you're actually correct or if you're bullshitting me, right? Because you don't want to be embarrassed, and then it makes it harder for me to give you the accurate information to get you that second round hit. So again, whether we're talking about precision rifle or we're talking about your daily relationships, business relationships, whatever, this same concept applies in how we communicate with those around us, and it needs to be clear and concise, and we have to give real information regardless of how it makes us feel. We have to be honest in that information, and it'll speed up the process, and we'll get better results in the long run for it, even if it's uncomfortable.